show today. We've got a treat, Esther Ekhart. So she is the founder of Ekhart Yoga. This is back in the day before teaching on the internet was cool, before everyone was doing it. She was well ahead of the game, and in addition is a super experienced yoga teacher and other practices too. So Esther, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Where are you in the world today?
I'm actually in Portugal.
Portugal? Do you live there now?
No, I landed here in October because I had to teach a retreat and I never left.
Okay, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to stay in Portugal at this time of year. I can understand. And where are you normally based? Is it the Netherlands or the US? Like
Netherlands.
In the Netherlands. Whereabouts? Just because I know the country reasonably well.
It's in Doorn. It's close to Utrecht.
Utrecht I like a lot. I prefer Utrecht to Amsterdam, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I'll make a note of that because often I'm in Amsterdam and Utrecht. So, and how did you get into yoga and then teaching online? Let's start with maybe yoga and then the online part. What's your story here, Esther?
Okay, so I got into yoga through my mother because she, out of the blue, started when I was very young, started doing yoga and getting into it and following a teacher training, and I got curious. I remember walking into the room and trying a bit with her and noticing, whoa, I mean, that was the asana part of it, noticing that's actually not that easy. I was not that handy as a young child, I'm a bit, all over the place. So I was a little impressed, but then I think what I saw mostly was my mother getting better. Like she was not so well, as in a little depressed, I suppose, or a lot depressed. And she really started to improve and become more stronger and better in herself. So that caught me. And
you'll jump in there. It's quite an idea for a child to see a parent or an adult improve themselves through practice. Like I think maybe me and you take that for granted as a thing, but this idea of a practice that you can improve your mental, emotional, physical well-being. The physical bits maybe more, you go to the gym, you build muscles, but the other part wasn't common understanding in Western culture. When I was a kid, it was just like, well, you're depressed, you can take a pill or you can be depressed. That's about it, right? Like that's quite a realization for a kid to really see that up front.
Yeah, absolutely. She just became more relaxed and better in herself, and also started taking better care of herself, I think. And I think that was also pretty impressive for me to see. And so I got interested and started to practice a bit with her. And as soon as I hit 18, I started doing a teacher training because I kind of wanted to be able to, give that too and help people change that way. So first teacher training when I was 18. And
wow. So I don't want to cast aspersions here, but I'm guessing that was a little while ago. So what how long has been your yoga teaching experience here?
So I'm now 48. And I think I started teaching, I did my teacher training. I was obviously still quite young. So I did a lot of traveling to South America, India, Philippines, things like that. Just traveled around. And when I traveled, after I did my teacher training, I started teaching other travelers and people that lived there, the blow-ins or the blowouts, however you want to call it. and so, so I got into it in a sort of quite a natural way, relaxed way, because I still felt a little at 18, 19, a bit like, scared teaching. So that was good for me. And then somewhere in my later 20s, I started taking it serious. And that's also when I moved to Ireland. I lived in Ireland for 11 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I lived in Ireland, my husband built a beautiful little hobbit home. And that became my studio. So it's like an oval shape mud house with a grass roof, and it was beautiful. And it took 11 people, and that's where I really started. So then I took the classes there, and it got really, really busy. And from there, I took it online because it got so busy. I had big waiting lists. I didn't know what to do with all these people that wanted to do yoga. So I thought, well, I'll put it on YouTube. Someone said, maybe try YouTube.
Sorry, let's date this. When was this? Because I know you're a super early adopter in this space. So what?
Yeah, so this was around dates and numbers are really bad with me, but this was about 2008 when I took it online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2007, 2008, I took it online on YouTube. And before that, of course, there were a couple of years of teaching in the studio that was just there.
Great. So you couldn't fit everyone in the studio. So you went, okay, let's do some videos. Let's put this on YouTube. Let's see. I think I've been on YouTube, not teaching yoga, but I've been on YouTube for other things since about 2008 as well. Yeah. And at that point, it was just beginning that people could get like a lot of hits on YouTube, but there wasn't really like YouTubers as a profession. You couldn't be a YouTube, like I've got friends and that's their job. They're YouTubers. And that wasn't really a thing back then, if I remember.
No, I don't think so.
I remember my first video got like 40,000 hits or something. And I was just like, oh, like really, like I had no idea that many people could look at a thing that was, it hadn't become super corporate. You didn't have to have great VSEO. It was just, so that's like search engine optimization. It was just if you put a video up and it was any good, or even if it just had the right title sometimes, or a nice cover image.
And they still featured you at that time. So I got featured at one, but I was just very lucky. So at some point I opened YouTube and there I was on the home page. And it's like, ooh, with one of my videos. So that was just that time. That's not happening anymore. I think that was just really something that happened in that time. So that got me going. And the rest is kind of history.
And then, well, let's talk about it for people that don't know. So, I mean, most people now have some interest in online learning and teaching who are listening to this, who are professionals. I mean, when COVID hit in March, we taught thousands of professionals how to work online. We did it. We just felt like me and Daniela and other people associated with the Embodiment Conference, because we had some Zoom skills. Daniela's got Zoom tutorials that now have 1 million hits on the internet, just because she was sort of, again, fairly early in that. I'm sure there was people in California doing it before, but it was not usual until March for the average yoga teacher to teach online.
Yeah.
And there was a few platforms, and I'm guessing you were one of the first, and then things like Gaia started to do it more. Yoga International, who I think were a magazine, started to do it. I'm guessing they probably came after you though, right?
Yeah, no, let me think now. Because when I really started with Ekhart Yoga, it was 2011. So it was a couple of years later. I just started it out on YouTube, did it even work before? I mean, I already had the idea of wanting to have a subscription website. That was clear, but I just didn't know would that work. So I started it out on YouTube, tried it out. And 2008, 2011, I started Ekhart Yoga. And I think things like, there were a few out there, but I think we all kind of sort of came in that space at the same time. More or less, because I started as well doing it in 2008 because I had trouble finding good stuff, and I thought, I can do something here, because I lived in the middle of nowhere in Ireland. I lived on a mountain and there was nothing, so I needed, of course, my own inspiration. And I looked online because that was the only place I could look, and there was, of course, stuff, but I thought, well, there can be more and it can be done differently. So that's when I started doing it.
And I remember it's probably about 2012, I was getting more into yoga, and there was really not many options. I think I remember finding you, Gaia, Yoga International. I think that was about it. And they each had an app and they each had a website. And then it was like, basically I could go to YouTube and it would be hit and miss. And some people like, is it Yoga with Adrian, became very big stars, or Yoga Girl or whoever. And people were becoming Instagram stars at the same time and maybe combining that. But there seemed to be like just these three quite professional, and you paid a relatively small fee and the videos were sort of higher quality. I mean, what was the sort of thinking between having a platform that you paid for as opposed to just on YouTube for free?
Well, on YouTube for free, I always kept my YouTube videos quite short, with the idea of really wanting to make it professional. But also, I suppose on YouTube, I wanted to be able to live off it, because that's all I wanted to do. So that's partly why I just saw a subscription site. Plus, I wanted not to be the only one offering yoga. So I quickly got other people involved, and through YouTube, that's just different. So, I just had that whole vision already of a subscription site with different teachers, different styles, a real professional offering. So and that's when I figured YouTube, I can't build my own thing there. It's like it's their format. So so that's why I chose the platform.
And I guess on the platform, it's, as you say, it can be a bit more organized, more professional. You can make it so, I'm looking at the teachers. A few of them are friends of mine, actually. Got Julie Martin, Helen Noakes. These are people I know who have that kind of somatic perspective. Peterson in Ireland there. Rose, I think I bumped into in the Netherlands. Yes, there's a bunch of people. And then you got guest teachers, people who are well known. Leslie, my friend Leslie Kaminoff on there.
Yeah.
From London. I know Aki from Try Yoga. So, it does seem like you have a bit of a kind of somatic perspective, but from the people I know, these are all sort of very high quality teachers. These aren't like someone like Aki or Leslie or Helen. They're not just random people who've done a teacher training and then put some stuff on YouTube.
No, I picked my teachers. So I do go for people that are well experienced. These are my friends. Aki has been a long time friend of mine. And so I've always picked my teachers through other people, through knowing, through having practiced with them myself. So that's important to me. It's important to me that everybody's different, and I like to have the different styles because everybody's at different times in their lives are looking for different things. But I do feel it needs to be grounded in knowledge and reality and in love as well, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't want to make it too much of an advert for your website, but it's a very nice design. And another thing I liked about it was the very first thing. It says, why Ekhart Yoga? So there's like something that's driving it, which isn't simply, we've got a website to make some money, right? There's a why there. And the fact that is the very first thing you can click on, by yogis for yogis. And I actually believe that when I see this. I go, okay, great. I don't feel this is a sort of, and it's crazy to say this, but yoga has in some ways become a kind of cynical marketing ploy for many people. And that is crazy, even from 10 years ago, let alone 20 or 30 years ago, when I first saw my mum doing yoga, similar experience, by the way. And, the idea that that we'd have to say, this isn't cynical marketing, this is for yogis. And like that has become an actual, almost like a differentiator. Do you want to say anything about that? Because I actually find that almost quite amusing that is a differentiator.
Yeah, it is. Like, I think because yoga has become so big, there's lots of investors starting to invest in this business, trying literally to make money. And that's just what happens. And all I can say is that we really started from wanting to share it and believing in the practice and honestly thinking as many people as possible need to become aware of these practices to feel better. And that stays. Like, of course, we are also a business, and I've got, especially these times, I've got someone that runs the business for me on the business level because I got a little tired of trying to do and juggle both. But we really protect, and the people that work in the office, they're all yogis, and we all protect the integrity of the business, and it's important to us. And if I have to let that go, I'm out. The fun will be gone. It has to be real.
How is it running a business of all yogis? Because I kind of have a love-hate relationship with yoga culture. On the one hand, I do yoga. I like yoga very much. I've definitely got a lot from yoga. I do yoga classes most weeks. I do a few classes and my own little mini practice. But also, it's driven me fucking nuts over the years. I'm gonna be honest. Like, how is it running a business where everyone's a yogi?
Well, they are also doing yoga. I think that might be another way of saying it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got people with who are very business-like at the same time. So it's not just like, I know what you mean, and that's not how it is. These are people with extra skills.
Business people who do yoga, not flaky people trying to run a business. No. Okay, I got it. I hear the difference. And I mean, do you regard business as a yoga itself? I mean, I've come to regard marketing and business as its own practice. For example, non-attachment, classic yogic thing. Every time I do a launch, I'm practicing non-attachment. I'm going, okay, I'd really quite like to make some money, but if I don't, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to starve. And greed comes in, like if we like, because it does come in as soon as you have money, or you know, I've started to get like, I got recognized today. I started to get a bit famous lately, and it's like ego comes in. It's like, okay, that becomes my practice, you know. So yeah, do you regard anything in running this business as a practice itself?
Yes, we also have values that we all live by, like honesty and you know, we're saying if there's something up with us or between the team members or anything like that, bringing it up, honesty to the customer, you know, and I think a lot of this goes back to my quite first experience when I started teaching, and I was terrified, and it really didn't come easy for me at the beginning. It was not that I was a natural stepping into the teacher role and it was just all perfect. I sweated and shaked and thought, oh my God, I can't do this and all that. So, till I had at some point that realization of all I can do is just give the best I can with the best intentions. And then whatever happens after that is actually not my business. My business is to put it out there in the right way. And I think that's how we practice this business as well. We think about it, we learn, and we make huge mistakes too. And then we put it out there, and then we see, just like you that's a little bit of non-attachment, I suppose.
Yeah, so just do your best, offer it as a gift of generosity. And, you know, obviously you have to have the business head on going, okay, we need to make a certain amount of money to pay the bills and pay everyone's wages. And then it's just like one hand holds the business side and the other hand holds the, okay, and it's all just a practice and non-attachment and never mind anyway. And there's a way in which business is very interesting because it's like this brutal confrontation with reality. Yeah, and that's, you know, which yogis sometimes don't have. I always say martial artists have that, but not yogis. But so business.
Why do you say that? What is that?
Well, you could say, for example, this twist detoxifies your liver, and you've got no real way of knowing. Whereas if you say I'm great at jiu-jitsu, you just get choked out. So there's a sort of let's say a quicker and more reliable feedback loop connecting what you say with reality. Yeah. But business has that feedback loop.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense? Like, it's very grounding in that sense. It's like, of course, this is great. And then the internet goes, yeah, screw you, we don't care. Yeah. Or the internet goes, this is amazing. And you're going, I thought it was pretty average, you know? So there is this sort of immediate feedback loop, which I find quite interesting.
Yeah, no, it's true. You make mistakes and you immediately know you've made a mistake and nobody lets you get away with it, basically.
Right, you're there, right? It's exposing. Yeah. It's exposing. Okay, this is definitely, I want to get back to being an interview, actually. I feel like I'm talking about my own business, processing out loud. Okay, so you've seen a lot change. So when you first put this out, there was just a few major providers, quite big providers. If anything, you were the more independent one, from what I can gather, the less kind of corporate one. Yeah. And you were the, you know, there wasn't your name, there was a human being's name attached to your one compared to like the, you know, yoga, whatever. And then all of a sudden, in the last year or two, particularly since COVID, now everyone's teaching classes online.
Absolutely.
It's the most normal thing. And I had to teach all my students to do this, and we helped other people learn this. How has that impacted the market? Is it sort of two-tiered? Because it's very different quality. I look at your videos that are professionally filmed, and they're not live, right? You're generally doing recorded stuff.
Yeah, generally doing recorded. We have some live functions, and we started doing live because we had to kind of now be joining the rest of what everybody does. Everything goes live, so suddenly we were like, maybe we need to kind of start off.
People like live, though, don't they? Because even though it's less, we found this with the Embodiment Conference, we made it live, and all the other conferences were like, you're insane. I won't name names, but there's some big conferences, and they were like, you guys are crazy. Anything could go wrong. And I said, yes, but it's fresh.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea.
People like that freshness, don't they? So I wonder, there's a balance between the quality and the freshness there.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of started going live on YouTube as well as a free offering during the pandemic, because that was just to help my community of people who I knew were having a hard time. And but yeah, no, it was a very interesting thing that happened. Like, of course, in a way, a little bit scary for us too. We were like, oh, wow, all of our teachers, the teachers that work for us, and everybody had to. I mean, I helped everybody, and we gave answers to like what kind of mics, and what you need. And we really try to help. But of course, there's also a little bit that kind of thing like, oh, wow, does anybody still need us? at some point.
Let's just be really honest then. Like, has it badly affected business, or
No, it really hasn't. No,
is it more fine. People are online? Is it level, or has it gone up? Like,
it's gone up a little and it leveled out again. So it's not affected us badly. It's we've just had to work to stay in tune with what everybody's doing. And again, this has also just been about letting go. I mean, it is what it is, and everybody started doing it, and it was interesting to see. Okay, does that take people away from Ekhart Yoga? Does that bring extra people to Ekhart Yoga? You didn't know, but it's been good. It's been okay.
Yeah, I always said this to my students through this whole year. I've said, listen, as long as you're listening and you're adaptable and you're creative, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it. And you know, and if at some point this has to stop, then that too shall, you know, things pass, things have to stop.
Nothing lasts forever, including businesses.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm okay with that too. So it's fine. It's
So what do you think people are paying for that? Is it the quality of it? Because it is nice. I'm looking at it now and I'm going, that's quite nice. I'm quite tempted to subscribe after this. Actually, I was a subscriber a few years back and I let it lapse. I'm looking at it going, I might quite, particularly when I'm traveling again, that might be quite nice to have that on my phone, a little class there, get Aki up. Like, what is it people pay for when there's so many classes on Zoom?
Well, I think they know what they get from us as well. They know the quality, but also, I suppose, they're attached to the teachers. You know, I know there's a lot of students of mine on it, and they come to my retreats, and they've been with me since the first time I ever taught a retreat. And people tend to, like yourself, you know, you have a yoga teacher you like, and you don't skip that much. You tend to stay. And then Ekhart Yoga has a variety, so you have a few that you like, and there's always something to choose from. And then we've got a great search function, I suppose, you know, so you can really look what you need. Do you have pain in your back? Do you feel like somatics today? Do you want stronger flow to sweat it out? I suppose it's just a reliable place where you can find what you need. That's how I see it. And again, it's really comes from expertise and love, and it's
heart driven. It's clear to see.
Yeah, it's heart driven, and they're really great teachers on it. They're really good.
There's a few things that I think I want to dig into. I'm fascinated by the changes in the sort of business of this that are going on. So on the one hand, quality control becomes kind of a new superpower. In that we had this with the conference, right? Like, yes, we provided a lot of people, but it was also part of the function was that we were quality checking. Yeah. And then what I'm doing next, we're even more quality checking because there's a lot less teachers. And I would make recommendations, or we'd choose to have someone on the main stage or choose to have someone on the peak slots. And people were really trusting us for the quality checking. And the second thing, which is not quite about quality, which would be something like curation, that if you've got a good search function like we have at the conference portal and like you have on your website, what they're like, fucking YouTube's a nightmare. Yeah. Like, the problem is not that the problem is not that what you want isn't on YouTube. The problem is you can't find the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't find it. It's a mess. It's like a needle in a haystack. Whereas something like this, you go, okay, there's search functions. So I wonder if these become our kind of like our main business offers in the future for people who it's curation is the main offer. Rather than
how do you put it all together, and how do you offer it? And that's our problem too, in a way. Like, it is an overwhelm of 4,000 videos, and even though our search function is good, and you can find your way, and you've got at some point even having your favorite teachers, of course, is in itself already curating. But in the beginning, that remains a thing. So we offer programs, and I suppose that's the way to do it, is to just kind of, I don't know, think about what do people need, are people looking for, and sort of helping them to find those niches.
And also, it's about trust, because I look on a website, I go, there's Helen, there's Julie, there's Leslie. Okay, I don't know who Jose de Groot is, but I'd be willing to give them a chance with my time, which is my precious thing, right? Not the $15. Because you've got Julie and Helen and Leslie, I'm probably going to trust you with at least to give Jose's class a go.
She's so good.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and because you tell me that,
Yeah.
I can tell you're genuine about that. I can tell
Yeah.
you're sincere. You're not just selling me someone who does like your cheapest. And even at major yoga studios in London, there are people teaching because they work for the cheapest hourly rate.
No.
Right? Like, and I go, ah. So I kind of feel like with the people I recommend now on my newsletter and the filtering I do through the podcast and the conference, you know, we're both in this position where we're filtering people and we're sort of trusted. This is why I don't like to take money to recommend someone. We do affiliate stuff very rarely because I don't want that to make my decisions. I want like the sponsors of the conference, for example, they were people I really like. When Leslie stepped up for yoga, I was like, great. This is someone whose book is on my shelf anyway.
Yeah. End of mine.
And then you ask, everybody, if people don't know who Leslie is, you say, you know, the yoga anatomy book that you got on your teacher training? They're like, oh yeah. Not just Leslie's book, actually, I should say it's he's co-authored, didn't he? So trust, referrals, quality, this is kind of our business now, right?
Yeah, I think so. And listening what you're saying as well, like where is the world at the moment? What does the world need? Like, what do people need? What are they looking for? What's going on? And adapting to that, I think, is a main very important thing.
What are the trends then? Esther, like, ears to the ground. What are the trends in yoga land? Are people just doing rest, relaxation? Like what's, you know, the somatic thing obviously has grown, and you're in tune with that from the look of your teachers. Like what's hot in yoga land? Let's hear it from the coalface here.
Well, I think I can tell you what in my yoga land is hot, because it's of course also as well like what you're interested in. That's what you find and see on the internet. So I suppose if you ask someone else, they might give you a whole different story. But I can see how what I see is personally in my world is that people move sometimes away from the alignment-based yoga and start looking more in movement practices. To get inspired,
free movement culture kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I like that a lot personally. Thankfully, there's this whole thing moving towards functional yoga, which we step away from the aesthetics, which I think is long overdue, and hopefully will bring us much less injuries over time.
Right. So say that difference again. So not what it looks like.
Yeah.
But actually, when you say functional,
like what is it good for? Why are you doing what you're doing? For what reason? Make it functional, you know?
It amazes me that question isn't asked. Like, someone's doing Warrior 2. Why are you doing that? It's a shape, great. Is it that it feels a certain way? Is it that it builds a certain muscle? And actually, it's sort of a bit unconscious for a lot of yogis, right? It's just their secret somehow.
Absolutely. No, you're right. And I think that's maybe, and that is sometimes like what my personal love is in the yoga world, or what I try and teach people is awareness of indeed just also like, okay, so why are you doing it? But what does it feel like? And is this actually good for you? And do you really want to do it? And do you really want to listen to put this muscle there and turn that knee that way and turn there a little bit more, even if it doesn't feel right? Because that's what we're doing. We're subconsciously just people telling us what to do, and we do it. Like, why?
I mean, that is a practice of sort of conformity and body domination at that point, isn't it? Which doesn't feel like I always say there's two things you're practicing in yoga. There's the shape or the move, but there's also how you're practicing it and the context, right? So
how you
want to practice conformity? Do you want to practice brutalizing yourself? Do you want to practice looking good even though it feels bad? I mean, none of these are things I want to practice.
And what about so teaching people to inquire and to check in with themselves, like, how is this? I mean, I can tell them something, but is that actually true for them? And that I think is really important, and just again making it an embodied practice, teaching people to feel rather than to think about it. And
it does seem to be coming in as a trend, and it's sort of coming in two angles. One is the sort of rise of free movement rather than shapes, then three angles. The rise of somatics and that being incorporated, more people like Aki who have done Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen's work or my work or whatever it is, and then Lisa's work, and then we've got the third one is this like challenge to the authority model that we inherited, this sort of guru model of authority from the East, and that was Iyengar and whoever, and then it's hit some real problems to understate it, ethically, sexual stuff, whatever. injuries, abuse, let's just name it actually.
Yeah.
And I think the sort of the Western world has gone, yeah, nah. to use the Australian, yeah, nah. You know, they've sort of gone, I don't think so. And that seemed that challenge is now, yoga's desperately, I think, not desperately, but yoga's struggling valiantly, let me be generous, struggling valiantly to integrate that pretty shocking and disturbing realization that authority can come with some real abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. In anything, but yoga has been pretty bad with that. Absolutely.
But it is getting better, though. I feel hopeful. I do see yogis on different levels, from the practice to the structures of accountability and ethics. It does seem like there's a real, I want to kind of give yoga some credit, because I'm sometimes getting
and the internet is wonderful for that, isn't it? Because it's so easy to hear a different voice. If you're used to the being dominated and telling what to do, and you need to do what I tell you to do, and suddenly you turn on another YouTube video where someone says, hey, how does this feel? And how would it be if you turn your toes a little that way, or you place your hand rather than, I don't know, having your middle finger pointing forward, turn it out. And does that feel better to your shoulders? And how does it feel emotionally to you? And they're like, oh, I can think for myself, and I can.
It's harder to be a fundamentalist now.
Yeah.
And it's one reason sort of North Korea and China hate the internet so much and use so much to block it, because once people start hearing other ideas, that cat's out the bag.
Yeah.
You can still be a fundamentalist now in any religion or yoga or anything, but you kind of have to work pretty hard, because there's so many other, we live in a multicultural, I don't just mean multi-yoga culture as well as beyond that, you know, like same in martial arts. You know, when I grew up in martial arts, VHS was around, but the internet wasn't. So occasionally you got a VHS of another aikido style, but very rarely. And now, you know, you can do it. Your teacher teaches you a technique in martial arts. You can go to YouTube and look at 10 different variations of 10 different styles. It's harder to keep that sort of puritanical.
Exactly. And I think you also have to remember that a lot of that sort of straight, how do you call that? Like, this is the way it should be, and this is how it needs to be, and I want to be told what to do, and I just want to follow what I'm told, has a lot to do with fear. I mean, there's a lot of fear behind that, because that it's easy, you know, you just follow something. That's much easier than going inward and trying to feel what's going on. So I suppose that's another way of looking at it. Like, we're opening up. And I think that is also maybe that has been my sort of how do you call it, difficulty with the yoga world sometimes, and with yogis and the yogi culture, is, okay, let's just pretend everybody's happy and everybody's doing great, and that we're all shiny people, and we have no pain.
Spiritual bypassing, right? That's what it's often called.
Yeah.
There's no political pain, there's no emotional pain, and we're all on a cloud. Often I go to yoga studios, I can kind of feel it when I walk in. If they're painted white and there's sort of lots of beautiful, beautiful, perfect people, and everybody's living off green smoothies and air, and there's this sort of God realm, they call it in Buddhism. It has the God realm has a flavor, and I'm more of a human realm kind of guy, you know?
And so am I, and so is Ekhart Yoga. And I think the people we get aren't like that. And there's a lot of emotional work done on Ekhart Yoga. We've got great teachers who let people inquire. And the way I love teaching retreats mostly, and I really take people inwards and trying, you know, letting them be where they are and feel where they are and meet their actual reality. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that is what the yoga world needs a lot, is just not just do your asana on the mat, but take a moment to observe how you feel and what's really going on, and then work from there or something. And don't try and make it go away, but actually, can you give it space?
I think the danger or the temptation is, through yoga, breath work, yoga, these practices, one can get quite good at pumping one's state.
Exactly.
So, like, I know that I can do a rigorous, say, hot yoga class, or, you know, not be breath work, there's other modalities. And I know I can sort of push that subtle feeling of discontent aside.
Yeah.
You know, I can give myself a high that will last a few hours or a few days. And, you know, that's kind of tempting, isn't it? It's kind of tempting to do that rather than actually feel into the difficult emotion.
But I think we're getting there also as a yoga community. And I think we're getting there also because life isn't getting any easier, is it? So there's only so much that you can push away.
So much you can pretend to be in the God realm when there's you're queuing in the rain outside the supermarket, or people who've got serious issues. Is there any negative trends with this sort of new online kind of, as you say, it's still relationship based, right? Like I go to the online classes of Pete Blackerby and Jim Tarrant, who are the two teachers who live in Brighton who I go to, in normal times, right? Occasionally I've tried a few others and I've branched out, and I got, Max Strom's online thing, and I've got a couple of other online ones, but mostly I've just gone to the teachers that I had a relationship with. I've gone to their Zoom classes, and people build relationships with teachers on YouTube. It's still relationship based, right?
Well, it is still that, I suppose it's all about that person that can help you regulate your nervous system, that can bring you in a really relaxed state. And not everybody can do that for you. And that is a relationship, but it's also a connection that you just feel. And you're going to have to find that person. And once you find that person, why the hell would you let go?
The other thing that changes is scalability, though, right? Because instead of having 1,000 teachers with 10 students, now we can have 10 teachers with 1,000 students. So the scalability is that changed things, right? If people are either very good or very specialized, like if you live in a town, like specialization is quite difficult in a town, unless like Brighton where I live, it has 2,000 yoga teachers. Most towns, like my sister lives in Peterborough, right? Maybe it's a small city in the east of England. Maybe there's 50 yoga teachers. You can't specialize that deeply, but now with the internet, you could become very specialist and have a real niche, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's beautiful. And I think you just have to trust it, don't you? You just really have to. I really do believe, maybe not in every situation, but if you can just find what you're good at and where your love lies, what makes you, how do you call it? Turns you
up, makes you shine.
Yeah, makes you shine. Then and you specialize in that. I really do believe that people will find you that have that can learn from you, because that's it, isn't it? I think you only learn from someone if you like that person, if there is a relationship, because I can be the most specialized person in, I don't know, whatever, and you can come to me for that, but we don't have a click. You're not going to learn it from me. There's no way that you're going to take it on. And you'll find that other person. So even when you specialize, even when you're super good and you know how to put yourself out there on the internet, you're still not going to get the whole world to follow you, because not everybody's going to.
No one's going to click.
No, and thankfully for that, because we've got so many people. So there's so.
That's okay, right? Like I always say, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. People either say you're refreshing, or I'm never coming to your class again.
Exactly.
It's one of the two.
Yeah.
So it's good if it's okay.
Yeah, because then we all have a chance, and we all have a chance to sort of find the people that we gel with, no matter how specialized or wonderful one person can be. It's
And do you think sort of post-COVID, let's hope that happens sometime next year, perhaps it starts the kind of the lockdowns that are happening now start to ease. Do you think that a lot of people won't go back to studios? Or because I still kind of want to, I'm doing less yoga now because there was something about going to the place and the people, and I feel less motivated to do it in my own home, even though some of my teachers are doing classes. What do you think will happen? Kind of, what's your prediction?
I think people will go back to studios.
A lot of people go back to studios.
Yeah. And I think that's good. And I think that's important. And there's still, now it's still special to go to a studio and be physically with people. I'm super grateful you can do some of it online, but I think I can teach a retreat online, and of course it has an effect, but come to me physically to Portugal and do a retreat with me here, but the effect will be much nicer in the end. I think it needs I don't think that'll go away, unless the world and COVID goes in a way which I hope not. There's no choice, but I think if the choice is there to go back to the studios, I don't think the studios need to worry personally.
Yeah. And do you think there's a sort of progression for people in yoga, whereas I see people often come quite young and they might do a more vigorous physical practice, then at a certain point it becomes a bit more somatic, and then often they start meditating a bit more seriously. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
You know, they might give up yoga, or they might just be more into the, you know, meditate as a supplement, start doing meditation retreats. Do you think, I mean, obviously everyone's journey is different, but there does seem to be some sort of classic journeys I'm noticing there.
Yeah, well, definitely for me, I think what you described is me going from strong practice and liking a bit more handstands and all that kind of thing to, oh, hang on a moment, I'm hitting 40 plus. Things start to change, my body starts to ache. What does my body need right now? To these days, my biggest love is my meditation and sitting still and turning in, and teaching it as well. So I've really changed that way, and my practice is way softer and much more functional, and I've completely let go of any form or whatever poses that I feel I need to be able to do, and also because my body has taught me that I can't keep that up and doesn't want it anymore. So,
right. Yeah.
And that comes with age and I suppose experience and injury. But I also see right now a lot of young people also moving towards the more softer
They're
practice.
getting there quicker, I'm noticing.
They're getting there quicker.
They don't have to blow both their hips out at 40. They're learning it. They do 2 or 3 years of Astanga and then learning at 25.
Exactly.
I'm impressed with the young people. Like they got the message before I did.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it. So I think they're getting there quicker, and also the situation in life at this moment makes people reprioritize what they need and what they want. You know, they don't have that much time, space, and energy left anymore to do the wrong thing. You know, they need to get it right, because they don't have. Yeah, they only have so much energy left. So they're gonna maybe hopefully get there a bit quicker. Like, what does my system
matters? What, you know, one. So also, I'm wondering if they got a lot of the sort of, they've become skeptical of the sort of Instagram thing. They've become skeptical of, you know, getting likes for looking good. Like they sort of grew up with that in a way that I didn't. Like I kind of came to that, realized there was problems associated with it.
Yeah.
I came off social media a couple of weeks ago. I've never felt better. It's
no, absolutely. Yeah, I hope so. And I think I really hope that everybody's starting to, well, especially the likes and the way it looks and stuff. I mean, it's beautiful, and you can see it as art as well, what's happening on Instagram and stuff, but it's not yoga. And I think and it's not that it can't, like, I don't want to say it's not yoga, because it could be yoga for certain people. But what bothers me, or could bother me about it, is that someone who's looking to spiritually grow or let go of tightness and tension and find more peace in their lives might be put off by it and think, oh, that's yoga, so I cannot do yoga.
Athletic, yeah. And it is, you know, I really think it's okay to say something isn't a thing. You know, a carrot is not a banana. That's okay to say that. Yeah. And then it's neither disrespectful to carrots or bananas to say they're not the same. And there's this wonderful book called What Makes You Not a Buddhist, which I think was a really brave title, you know, really brave, bold title, provocative. And I'd love to see that with yoga. Like, what makes it not yoga? Because on the one hand, there's this wonderful, we want to be inclusive. We want to say, hey, who am I to say what yoga is and isn't? And different people have their own dharma, and that's fine. And then I see, you know, wonderful performance art or wonderful gymnastics, and I go, well, can we just not honor that as gymnastics or performance? Can we not honor that as that, rather than call it?
And they might do that gymnastic with a yogic inside. I don't know that could well be, you know, that they have the concentration and the focus and perhaps the peace to do it. But I suppose it's important how what we say is yoga, also to that people can find yoga and what it really is about. You know, it's so I think, what is not yoga to me is purely being in it for what the pose looks like, or being able to get to that pose. So, I can now do the king of the yoga poses, the headstand. So, and that is yoga. That's not, to me, that is not yoga. It's fine to go there. It's fine to do it.
Fine, but it's not yoga.
But it's not yoga.
Yeah, I do pull-ups. That's not yoga. It's pull-ups.
No.
And like, is the orientation an external appearance or goal, or is it an internal process? Like for me, that's a very clear distinction. And we can't actually say that about anyone else's yoga, because we don't, as you say, if I see someone doing a handstand, their orientation could be internal. It's probably not, but it could be. It could be. But it's sort of not really for me to say. That's what, and can we also not say, if I was to optimize an internal process, I probably wouldn't want a camera on me.
No, exactly. No, but then these days you need the camera on you to show what you're doing, but I totally agree. When I do a yoga pose for a camera, in front of a camera, I'm posing.
Right. So now we're posing, because the orientations become external primarily. And of course, there's always some mix, right? When you're teaching, you might go backwards and forwards. I like to close my eyes and feel, then open them and look at the class, So it's
and I really teach in front of a camera. I do my yoga, but when I pose for a photograph or do a sort of something to get it out there, a promotion thing or whatever, no, that's of course not yoga. Then I'm doing something else. And I think that goes for all the Instagram pics as well. It's like,
you can sort of tell if someone's not meditating on those pictures, can't you? Particularly if their knees are up in the air and their hands are doing this. But it's the classic stock photo, meditating with the knees up in the air. But it's you can sort of see, can't you? Yeah. Okay, this has been a pleasure. Anything that you haven't touched upon that you'd like to touch upon before we wrap up? Any sort of subjects, specialist things you have strong opinions about, anything we should have said that?
No, I think it's good. I kind of came on and waited for
it felt like a real conversation. Like, there's sort of two types of interviews. There's the ones where I'm interviewing, and there's the ones, actually three, the ones where people are giving a speech, which I don't like. And there's the ones that are more conversations. And sometimes viewers complain that I speak too much during those third ones. But I think it keeps it sort of real when it's a real conversation and not just sort of a one-way. It's a relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been a total pleasure. In terms of finding you online, I think I've given you some good advertising here, which wasn't my intention. I'm not being paid, but I genuinely like this website.
I did not expect that at all.
I genuinely like this website, so I would recommend people have a look at it. And it's Ekhart, EKH for Harry, ART, yoga.com, right? And anywhere else they should check you out?
No, that's good. You can find me there. And of course, you can always Google my name and you get my Facebook or whatever, but it's good. Just check out Ekhart Yoga and hopefully you'll find some good stuff.
No worries. Closing message about the body.
Say that again?
You have a closing message about the body. That's normally
closing message about the body. Yes, I can do that. I think everything that happens, and I think it's nice if you can sort of relate back to and what is the experience of that in my body. I think that is a really great way to come out of your head a bit and come back into your body and into presence. So even the experience of you, like if you the I amness of you is an experience. Like, what is it like to be you right now? What is the experience of that? If you close your eyes and you just feel, and that, I think that is, if you just can keep coming back to that, you're doing yoga.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. Thanks for having me, Mark.